The Brothers Karamazov, Book 3, Chapter 9. It's almost a relief to read a chapter like this. A lot of conversations, a lot of talking, a lot of narration in the first 2 books and 8 chapters. A lot of people sitting around saying a lot of things. Characters speaking for other characters, narrators speaking for other characters, characters speaking for themselves, and so on and so on. And so it's nice when you have something that's more akin to what we're used to watching on a television show or a movie, an action. And so, again, in the last chapter, we had Ivan, Alyosha, and Fyodor, along with Smerdyakov and Grigory, all sitting around debating good-natured or bad-natured, jabbing each other philosophically, theologically about a news event. And at the end of the previous chapter, Dmitri had tried to break in like a bull. Now the chapter 9 begins with Dmitri not able to get in initially because the 2 servants acting on orders that Fyodor, paradoxically, wisely, had given them a week before, which is don't let Dmitri in. And so Smerdyakov and Grigory are both doing just that. Grigory is an old man, and so Dmitri, being a young military guy, is able to overcome him and punches what is essentially his foster father. Punches him in the stomach and then jumps over him. Smerdyakov, not the bravest, most high character guy. He goes and runs over to Fyodor and is crouching behind him. So Dmitri is coming at Fyodor with violence. And why? Because he thinks Grushenka is there and she is hiding somewhere, and he knows if there is some romantic encounter between his father and Grushenka later in the evening, then his whole life plan is ruined. And so he's angry, and again, much like a wild beast, a wild animal, he has to be restrained. It's funny how quickly Ivan and Alyosha's personalities or even worldviews come out through the rest of the chapter. As Dmitri is being restrained, what does Ivan do? He applies logic to the situation. Look, there's 2 doors. You just came in one of those doors. So she didn't come in through that door. There's another door, and you know that it's always locked. And you know where the key is. Therefore, she's not here. Ivan applies perfect logic to Dmitri's rage. What does Alyosha do? He just speaks simple truth. Listen, she's not here. You're mistaken. I know you think you saw her, but she's not here. Dmitri finally believes Alyosha. However, he's still in a violent rage, still mad over the events that happened at the cell many hours earlier, but still this same morning where he and Fyodor had exchanged words about Dmitri's character, beating up the captain, tricking Katerina Ivanova, and pursuing Grushenka against him. That's why he wants Fyodor's money, is to pursue Grushenka. So Dmitri is still peeved about this, and so he comes at Fyodor. Ivan loses the grip. He comes at Fyodor, and he gives him a good throw, a good toss, and then kicks him in the face and runs out, wishing Fyodor dead. And so now Ivan and Alyosha, the 2 brothers whose worldviews and philosophies are at loggerhead, yet they're still sons, they're still brothers, and they help Fyodor clean him, wash his face, put him to bed. And again, the two personalities differ. Ivan has a headache from all that coffee and all that arguing and all that violence, and so he goes outside. He goes away from Fyodor. What does Alyosha do? Even though Zosima is in his cell dying, Katerina Ivanova needs to be spoken to. Now Grushenka needs to be spoken to. He's had a long, embarrassing, shameful, difficult day, pulled in every direction. What does Alyosha do? He sits at his father's bedside and waits for him to wake up. His father does wake up and thanks and blesses Alyosha, and like many characters in the book say, "You're the only one I love, you're the only one I can trust." Alyosha says, "Go to bed," makes his way out of his father's house and sees Ivan and his headache sitting outside, and they begin to dissect what has happened. And so Alyosha asks Ivan, "What do you think is going to happen?" And Ivan insinuates that one of the two of them, or probably both of them, are going to end up killing each other. And it'll probably be Fyodor who ends up dead because of Dmitri's strength. Alyosha retorts, "God forbid." Ivan retorts to Alyosha's retort, "Why God forbid? Let the reptiles take care of each other." And there's a look on Alyosha's face at a comment like this. And Ivan says, "Look, I just prevented them from killing each other." And this is a key fissure in the character of Ivan, and it is key part of the novel. You see, it's not a deep fissure, but it is one nonetheless. You see the splitness of Ivan. On the one hand, there's really no logical reason why Dmitri shouldn't take out his father. His father is a despicable person. He's good for no one, really. His presence on this earth is just a drag and a menace to society. There's no logical reason. He probably does owe Dmitri the money. There's no logical reason why Dmitri and Fyodor shouldn't take each other out intellectually, in reason. There's no scientific, there's no logicking your way to that. And yet, his moral code, obviously, is against murder and preventing murder and patricide. And so what we see in Ivan is him saying himself, articulating the splitness of his worldview. On the one hand, he has no argument against patricide, but in real life, of course, he will prevent a murder. But that and him calling the two family members reptiles may just come back to haunt Ivan.